Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Today we are going to take a look at the upcoming Mars-Pluto opposition, which is a little ways off yet, but is now in the process of perfecting. When these two planets come to within about 10 degrees, it's as though there's a pot on the burner filled with water that is starting to boil. And when we reach the exact opposition between Mars and Pluto, we'll map all of this out today. It's often as though you reach the actual boiling point, or maybe the pot's running over or something like that. So we're going to explore this Mars Pluto opposition today as a way of sort of setting the stage and preparing ourselves for one of the most significant transits of the year. And we'll look back on the previous installments of this dynamic, because we've seen it now twice before, once in forward motion, once in retrograde motion, and now again in direct motion. So we'll kind of look at that whole process today, and I'll give you 5 things to watch for. So that is our agenda for today. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. Welcome to so many new subscribers on the channel. Hope you enjoy it. If you're not yet subscribed, it really helps our channel to grow. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on the website, which is nightlightastrology.com. When you are over on the website, check out the courses page. Go to first year course, and you will find that we are in the process of enrollment season for my next year 1 program, which begins June 22nd of this year. You can learn more about the program on this page. Next week, I will be attaching a little preview video that shows you everything the course includes, kind of walks you through it, goes into depth. That preview video will be attached to the end of every daily piece of content, so you can check it out and probably get a lot more questions answered that way. But in the meantime, this page includes everything that the course offers. And at the bottom, you'll find early bird payment options that are available until May 15th, as well as need-based tuition assistance. So if you are someone who needs a little help to make this program feasible for your budget, we understand some people have limited or fixed incomes, and you want to make sure that people aren't living outside of their means to study something sacred. So check that out. And again, I'll be delivering more information daily at the end of every piece of content. There'll be this little informational video you'll find starting next week. But I hope to see some of you in classes soon. And on that note, let us now turn our attention to the real-time clock. And here we go. All right. So what I want to look at today is, given that we are, Wednesday, April 9th. Okay, here we go. So we're going to see that, for most people are probably pretty excited that Mars is about to finish its journey through Cancer. It's been a long, heavy, and slow-moving transit in a place that is sometimes very difficult for Mars, traditionally said to be in its fall in the sign of Cancer. And now it is about 7 degrees away from the opposition to Pluto. So let's watch how this unfolds. Now, we're going to see that Mars is sort of moving and finishing up. It's at that critical anaretic degree of Cancer around the middle of the month of April. This is the 16th I'm looking at right here. And then on the 18th, Mars will enter the sign of Leo. As soon as it enters the sign of Leo, it is now within the 3-degree engagement range of Pluto. The opposition to Pluto is then coming right along. And we'll see that the opposition to Pluto starts perfecting around April 25th, as the two planets are at the same degree. But we'll see the actual passage of the perfection. Let me wind it back by hour here. So it's right April 26th, right in the evening. It's about 8:30 p.m. that Mars opposes Pluto. So very powerful signature, and one that we have seen a couple times before. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to eliminate everything from our perspective except for Mars and Pluto, and we're going to run this back and visit the previous oppositions that we've already had, so that we can kind of look at this from the standpoint of an entire process. So the opposition is April 26th. Now, as we're listening to this, we're obviously several weeks away, but the point is that the two planets are within 7 degrees. And when those two planets start, when the closer and closer they get, the more that it feels like the pot is boiling. And so it's good to sort of get out ahead of that because of how cathartic, how aggressive, how expressive this transit can be. So that's why we're doing this so far in advance today. But anyway, let's go back in time. So we're going to go back through the original moment of their first opposition. So their first opposition comes while, remember, while Pluto was culminating in Capricorn at that anaretic 29th degree, and Mars culminated at that anaretic degree. And you can see here's Mars opposing Pluto between November 2nd and 3rd. So you go back and you look at early November, late October, what was happening around that time, and you had the first kind of boiling point. Then the two planets separate as Mars continues on into Leo, and then Mars reaches the station to retrograde. That's happening early December. Mars then moves backward through Leo and comes into the second opposition, and that opposition really happens between January 1st and January 3rd. Those 3 days in particular, the first couple days of the new year, very potent Mars-Pluto opposition that was at play. Then we see Mars going through this long retrograde in Cancer, which we are now starting to come out of. Thank goodness. How long have we been talking about Mars in Cancer, right? This Mars in Cancer period ends April 18th. You can see that's coming up pretty quickly. Most of us are really going to feel the shift. But the real process of the retrograde, as you can see, is bookended by very critical Mars-Pluto oppositions, which means, in a sense, and I'm going to go over this as one of my 5 things to watch for today, you can really look at this upcoming opposition in terms of the entire process that we've been through and look back at these times that we're mapping out right now. They will probably play a significant role in a story that's been told, not just a moment that we're about to have, but there's an arc that we can follow if we look back at these things. Now, some of you may have, not so great memories, and you're not like failing astrology class if you can't see the connective tissue. But for those who like to look back at that, on my channel, I always like to provide that timeline. Well, here we go, April 26th. The Pluto-Mars opposition is exact about 8:30 in the evening Central Time. And then what's going to happen after that is we get about a 3-degree range of separation after Mars opposes Pluto. And interestingly, Pluto stations and turns retrograde. So the work that Pluto has been doing within the whole sign house of Aquarius is about to reach a moment of critical mass, and then revision, shifting, integrating as Pluto turns retrograde. But isn't it interesting that it comes right off from the opposition? Mars's retrograde was involved with the opposition. Now Pluto's retrograde is involved with the opposition. So these two planets are dancing together on an evolutionary level or spiritual level, psychological level, you might say. All right, well, given that this is all happening later this month, here are the things that I want you to start watching for. And when I say start watching for them, I mean between now and April 26th, and then, give it maybe a week after April 26th into early May. Any of these things would be fair game. One, there's a hexagram in the I Ching, and I believe it's hexagram 28. Sometimes I get my I Ching hexagram numbers mixed up, but in the hexagram of critical mass, which is one of the English translations that's used for the Chinese name of the hexagram, there is a situation that's described, and it's an image of a ridgepole that's starting to sag because of too much weight. And the hexagram says that when you reach a situation, and it's really describing situations that we run into in life, where you reach critical mass, something has to change. There is an evolutionary necessity for a change, and there's a pressure around it and a sense of maybe even an ominous feeling, like there will be consequences if I don't do something now. Or, wow, I'm being provided with some very meaningful, useful feedback, and if I don't take this feedback and act on it, there will be consequences. This is quintessential Mars-Pluto, the force of evolution spiritually, psychologically, or in any area of our life where karma is unfolding, will present itself to us with a feeling of do or die. You must act. If you don't act, there could be some kind of disaster. The scenario that is in front of us is one of the clear presentation of evidence, facts, and information that suggests change must occur. So that's one way of looking at it, just a moment of critical mass. And the point of doing this now is that you can feel and notice the critical mass developing in advance. A lot of the times we grow numb to the feeling of, in astrological content, if you take it in regularly, you may grow numb to the feeling that everything is always this big, critical, epic moment. That's actually not true. Most of astrology is just about helping us deal with psychic weather that's as basic and daily as physical weather, and just becoming sensitive to it and noticing it and becoming more conscious in our participation with it. And then there are storms that get mythic names, like the Weather Channel. It's like there's a light rain shower coming in, but we're going to name it Zeus's thunder hammer. It's like, okay, so it's like it was like sprinkling, but we had to give it like an epic Greek name. But the same thing happens on astrology channels. Any old transit becomes, Zeus's mega blood moon period. I think Alex and Dana were talking something about that on their in the monthly horoscopes. But anyway, some psychic astrological weather fronts really do hit a little different, and Mars-Pluto is one of them. It does get the epic Greek name, so to speak. So watch for critical mass coming in. Where is the force of evolution, the force of necessity, just sort of saying, change or else. But else what? I don't know, but that's the feeling. 2, explorations of power are quite common when Mars opposes Pluto. So when the two planets start coming together, we may, as I was talking about with the sign of Aries, a Mars-ruled sign, right? We may face meaningful power struggles that are a part of the path of spiritual, psychological, physical individuation. This could be a physical challenge that's coming up for you. It could be a power struggle in a relationship or at work. And it could be also about feeling empowered, but also having to explore the shadows of power. I have power, but is it really mine? Or am I going to get high on my own supply? Am I going to get identified with some measure of power that I've been given? Am I wielding power responsibly? Am I bullying or being domineering? Or is someone doing that to me? And do I need to free myself from the situation or engage in a confrontation? How do I do that without losing my honor, my dignity, my virtue? These are the kinds of things that come up when Mars opposes Pluto. Might does not make right. A righteous cause does not give us permission to be a jerk. These are Mars-Pluto themes. 3, let's be honest, you may see this in the collective, you may see it personally, eruptions of violent or aggressive energy. It's as though little micro, like, what do they call them? Microaggressions? I don't know. I don't even know what that really means. But, it's like little frustrating moments build up in us. I think of this in parenting, it's like little infractions that my kids, that bother me. My kids are acting, they're not listening, they're doing, and all of a sudden, the dad or like mean mommy comes. It's funny, like my daughters have this, like, are you in mean daddy mode, or are you in mean mommy mode? Our youngest says to us, and she is a Leo and has this cute way of prodding us when we're getting frustrated with her to try to calm us down. Are you mean daddy right now? Like, oh, you got me, But those moments where you slam your fist down and you go, enough, I've had enough. So this eruption of like, I've had enough, or I have to say something, or I have to do something. So this kind of volcanic eruptive force from the unconscious or from things that have been building up can just sort of spill over, and sometimes destructively. I don't like to let myself get to the point where, I let my emotions overwhelm me with my kids. And I've learned over time how to get a lot better at that. I can sense the pot is starting to boil. And then I have, daddy's going to take 5 minutes to breathe, So we have to do this for ourselves because we know that this kind of energy is coming. And we can also understand where it's coming from, that this is a kind of wave that's passing through. If someone around us is, demonstrating this kind of behavior, because we can have compassion for it, or we can separate ourselves and come back when things are calmer. I have this new camera. I'm in the process of changing some cameras out. So my other side view will be back eventually too, but I had some camera issues. So anyway, now I have a camera that if I put my hand up, it starts tracking me. I'm like, stop. I have to hold my hand up so it looks like I'm raising my hand in class. I have a question. Like, do it again so it turns off. Okay, there, it turned off again. So watch for eruptions of violent or aggressive energy. Don't kill your web camera if it starts annoying you. But that could be a way that you see the transit expressing itself. Number 4 would be a catharsis built on the entirety of the Mars retrograde cycle. Now, this is why I tracked out the whole cycle for us, right? You can look back and say, what was happening early November? What was happening early January? What's the connective tissue between these periods of time and what I'm going through right now? You may find that there's a storyline that has had installments of critical mass periods, and all of them collectively are building toward a grand finale. That puts a different kind of weight, because of an arc that's behind it. So track that out if you can. Remember, early November, early January, what was happening around that time? Look back at your phone or your pictures, look back at emails. That can help. And sometimes you'll see that connective tissue. Look at the whole sign houses of Leo and Aquarius. You can bet your bottom dollar we'll be doing horoscopes on these as well. So, wait for it. We'll get there. Okay. Whoops. How about number 5? Leo and Aquarius. We've talked about this at length throughout the entirety of this process, especially the last time that in early January, we spent a lot of time talking about this on my channel. And that is that Leo and Aquarius often constellate around personal versus collective tensions. All of us have a need to belong, to identify in various groups, cultures, communities, and yet all of us have an evolutionary need to differentiate and be apart from, different, unique, or select. How do we carry that tension? When Mars and Pluto are meeting each other by opposition, there is often a feeling of great pressure to both belong and differentiate. So how do we manage the pressure pulling in 2 different directions simultaneously? That is something to watch for as well. I'm going to leave it on this, on that note, some simple observations. I want to recommend also that Ashley's going to be back on the channel soon, and we're going to be talking about the entrance of Jupiter into Cancer, the goddess, and some herbs that we're going to recommend working with for Jupiter in Cancer over the next year. And her herbal apprenticeship program is also open for enrollment. And I want to show you so you can go look at it. Let's see, I've got the website here. I thought I had it up. Okay, here we go. So if you haven't yet checked out Ashley's work, she's my wife. She's on the show every so often. We combine planets and plants, and we lead a moon circle called Roots and Spheres, which is all about the tracking of every monthly moon cycle, along with dieting medicinal herbs. So go to her courses page at skyhouseherbs.com, click on Herbal Foundations Apprenticeship, and you will see that the enrollment is open. There's need-based pricing if you need some help and stuff like that. But she's got a great herbal apprenticeship program that is fantastic if you're someone who likes to work with things like gemstones and herbs alongside of your astrology practice. So be sure to check that out. Flexible pricing if you're on a budget. So we always try to have that available. Anyway, you'll be seeing her again soon, and we're going to have, I think, a really nice discussion of the archetype of Jupiter in Cancer, and also goddesses that are great goddesses is a big topic for Jupiter in Cancer, and herbs that pair with the goddesses in the ancient world. That should be fun because it's always nice to have some remediation strategies when you're working with planetary energies. All right, that's it for today. I hope you're having a good one. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.